I am your host, Kavarly Arnold, and we are joined here by Joseph Reds Perriera, cricket analyst, and Lenny White, not a cricket analyst. Um, Welcome, guys.
Yes, good evening. All the way from St. Lucia. I hope you're all well.
Yes, yes, we are all. I think we are all well. We will be looking at we look at the ICC T20 Men's World Cup as it continues. We will be looking at a review of today's game with Pakistan and Canada. Also, we will be looking towards the US-India game tomorrow and West Indies game against New Zealand. A lot lined up for tomorrow, but before we go to that, let's just review the Pakistan game. Freds, it was an interesting encounter. This game against Canada for Pakistan. They got over the line, winning by 7 wickets. But a few would say they left a little bit to be desired, despite it's good for them getting on the points table.
Well, with a game already lost, the commentators were saying very carefully that there was a specific number of overs they had to get the winning runs against Canada by. And if that was accurate, and I assume the Pakistan coaching staff were aware, they failed to do that. There's another theory: win and worry later. Well, we just have to wait and see how this will work against them or for them.
Yeah, and Lenny, as Red just said, win and worry later. I think it was good for Pakistan. It would be good for their confidence just to get points on the table. Those 2 points getting on the table must be important for them.
Absolutely. When you look at all the factors that could come into play in terms of net run rate and in terms of the weather condition as well, because we look at some of the games tomorrow, forecast rain in the forecast. So I think a win is very important for Pakistan to get them on the board and, to get some momentum in the camp and lift their heads up, lift their spirits up. And a win is good for them. I think it's a very crucial win, and it's super important just to get things going for Pakistan.
Yeah, and talk to me, Reds, about the manner in the way they played the game. They went out and bowling. Look, I guess the pitch offered a lot of assistance, but just going out there and being clinical in getting the wickets, the Canadian wickets for 103. Maybe could have done it a little bit sooner, but it was good. Efficient bowling. Let's talk about the bowling first.
Well, I think some got it right to bowl the right length. Others got it wrong and allowed the Canadian batsman to have a good swing. I mean, how many sixes he hit? I think it was not a pitch where you bowl over full length. It wasn't a Yorker pitch. It was a back of a leg pitch.
Yeah,
well, you go ahead.
And Lenny, I guess I don't know what you'd want to say about the bowling in terms of how clinical it was. We saw Mohamed Amir and was very, very clinical on the day, picking up also the Man of the Match award with 2 for 13. He was supported by Harris Wells with 2 wickets, Nazim Shah and Shaheen Shafridi. So the seamers did the bulk of the heavy lifting. Also economical for Imad Wasim. With his 19 runs from his 4 overs, but all in all, the seamers did it.
I would say they did a tremendous job in the context of the game in terms of only probably 2 of the Canadian players was able to get over to double figures, which is Aaron Johnson, who got 54, and not many of the Canadian batsmen was able to get going. And you have to give Pakistan credit where credit is due in terms of their bowling performance. This was one of the better performances. It could have been a little better if you ask me, but it was a clinical performance if one would look at the context of the game and how they're under themselves.
Yeah, and we must commend Aaron Johnson, who on this pitch that everybody's talking about how tough it is, he managed to score at 118 strike rate. While in a T20 context, it might seem like nothing. We have to think about the fact that Mohammad Rizwan and Babar Azam batted on the pitch, faced a lot of deliveries, and only managed to score at a run of ball. So he was very effective on this pitch.
Effective is a tremendous word to use in the context, in terms of, I feel like a lot of these batsmen, they're not playing their natural game, and I think that's one thing that he did today, was play his natural game in terms of playing aggressive cricket and attacking cricket. And a lot of these players just need to stick to the heat that they know. They're aggressive batter. Just play your natural game. You look at Chris Gayle, I know he bats back in his days. It's just what aggressive cricketers do, and he went out there and displayed the quality that he has, and it works for him. So continue that form, and continue that merit.
Yeah, and Reg, when we look at the batting display of Pakistan, they as I said, they got over the line, and it wasn't that difficult, but really, it was good to see Babar Azam batting the way he did, and especially Mohammad Rizwan in batting from the start and taking it there. Despite Ayub going cheaply, and put some pressure on maybe Rizwan and Baba early.
Well, I was disappointed by you. I mean, it was an awful shot hitting across the line. He has just been re-signed by Guyana, and he'll have to play a lot more in the league. I think that he carries the tag of yet being a success for Pakistan. Tremendous potential, but there are some fundamentals of the game that he's got to respect. Strong on the outside, but tends to go across the line, and that is going to haunt him if he continues. But it's difficult to judge if you really don't understand the pitch conditions, if you haven't taken guard. Maybe the conditions are a little more bowler friendly, or shall I say a lot more bowler friendly than batting friendly. And in judging the batsman, we got to take that into consideration.
Yeah, and Rizwan really just stood there and bat through the innings. We maybe would have been looking for him to maybe score at a little bit of higher strike rate, but batting through the innings, I think he was just content on, let me take my team across the line and making sure that we got the 2 points.
That's exactly what he did. I in my perspective, that's exactly what he did, because they have lost 2 games. It would have been quite embarrassing for Pakistan to go out to Canada in the 3rd defeat of the tournament. So I think what Perriera said earlier, in terms of getting the runs in a certain amount of over, I think that they were playing a bit of smart cricket in terms of not losing out to Canada. I think that's the way they were looking at it. They could have probably gone out all guns in the first 5-6 overs, but they were playing careful cricket, and I think it wasn't the ideal.
Yeah.
Sorry. Wasn't ideal the context that they probably wanted to, but they were playing very carefully.
Yeah, and then when we look and let's just project. Let's look ahead. Given the context of what happened with Pakistan and Canada today, now India against the US, massive game. I guess India would start favorites, obviously. But I mean, what's your take on this such an encounter on this pitch again?
I think India's got just too much class and too much depth in both the batting and bowling for US to have any sustained pressure, any success. They may have their moments, but I see India winning very easily. Whether we can have another low-scoring fixture, or we've had many of them. Many of them. You see, from the pitches in the IPL, we have a total difference situation here. Batsmen have got to work a lot harder.
Yeah, it's chalk and cheese, two different pitches. And when we, one of the things I've said the other day is that I think for a lot of these lesser nations, and maybe I shouldn't be calling them lesser nations, these associate nations, let me put it that way. A lot of persons wouldn't have been, the cricketing world eyes have not been on them as much. And here is a showcase. Here is an opportunity to come look at me. I have the quality. And from what I'm seeing from US, even Canada, and a lot of countries, Oman the other day showed some real quality and so on. It shows that they are saying, I have the quality, come look at me. And also, a lot of Indians looking on, biggest eyes, the most eyes in the world, you know, with all the franchise leagues around the world and Indian franchise and so on, I think it is always good if they can showcase their talent in a game against India, against high quality opposition. So Lenny, I think it would put them in good stead, especially as they look for contracts and so on going forward.
Absolutely. I don't think India should take US for granted come tomorrow, because they're playing a different brand of cricket, and they're displaying what they're made of, and they're showing that they deserve to be on the big stage, and they're really making some clinical performance. If they get going tomorrow, we have seen how these pitches have been playing here in America, and if they get going and they continue the brand of cricket that they're playing, I could see them beating India. I don't think it's a miracle to upset that they beat Pakistan. I think they're playing a tremendous brand of cricket, and if they continue in that format, and that the energy and the momentum is with their team, and they come out and they display the quality that they have been displaying over the last couple of games, they can create more upset in this tournament.
Yeah, because their lead up to the tournament has been good. So their confidence is high. I know India is a different quality that they'll be facing, because and not so just quality, because Pakistan has quality too. But I mean, they stardom. I wouldn't want them to go into the game and, you know, a Virat Kohli, Netravalka running up to a Virat Kohli and look like a deer in headlights. That wouldn't be good. Given his heroics from the previous game. So it's a dream run for the US, and we're seeing that. Do you think this will shock any of their confidence at all, Rex?
No, I don't think so. I think that the India side has had the opportunity to see what the US is capable of, and they would have looked at those tapes, and they probably will bowl a lot differently.
Yeah, and as Lenny said, you know, they are coming in and they are pushing. They are confident. They're saying, I don't fear. I like the occasion, and this is my home too. I want to put on a show here. But coming up against India, we know the quality of India, and the players that are on show. I don't know if they'll have any changes or so on, but I doubt it, given that's the same sort of pitch. But what do you think about the way India will approach this game? As you said, they can't take them for granted. But what do you think about their approach? Anything, Lenny?
I think they're gonna come out approaching the game with a lot of respect.
Yeah, you read. Could you just jump in there in terms of the approach to the game, India's approach? What's your take on that?
Maybe an initial caution, but then India will be India. India will be India, and they've got the bowling to back it up.
When you look at the way they bowl, and sometimes even the other day in that game, I was thinking, how would Mohammad Shami look on this sort of pitch? It's I know he's not there, but I'm just saying, with his team presentation and all of that, how good would he look on this pitch? Because when we look at the way Pandya has been bowling on that pitch, because he is so consistent and know what he's about, I just imagine if Mohammad Shami was there. It's a pity he's not there, but we have to look at Bumrah and what he brings. He pretty much turned that game right back into India's favor the other day against Pakistan on this same sort of pitch. So I presume he will have a big role to play.
Just a point I'd like to make. We're beginning to run out of time because I have another commitment. West Indies, New Zealand.
Yeah, and then if we look at West Indies, New Zealand, let's just jump to that because we said that we expect India to do quite well. That game, that's a big clash, especially for New Zealand. They can't afford to lose it. What's your take on their approach? Because I don't think their approach has been good so far in the tournament, given the quality team that they are, right?
Well, I don't know how are they going to pick themselves up after their awful performance at Providence. They seem to be ill-prepared, short of cricket. They didn't play a practice match. Conway hadn't had any cricket in 3 months. The only person who looked the part was in fact Bolt. Now, how do you pick yourself up by the bootstrap, go to Trinidad, and perform at the level that you will, always have in your mind about the high standard of New Zealand cricket? Not even their feeling was good. That's one part. The other part is, well, the West Indies played the same 11. Well, I could only assume, having played the same 11 in the 2 matches with Guyana, they have got themselves in a bit of a vortex. They're expected to play the same 11, which will not be my 11.
Yeah, and I know you have to go, Red. So let me just close out. Let me just close out with you on West Indies before we jump to Lenny. They would have played the 2 easier teams in the group so far. I think a little bit underwhelming, if I may say, in the batting because we expected a little bit more. Do you think, given though they got some time under their belt, their approach will be much better against a better opposition? I might say against New Zealand.
Well, I certainly thought that they should have shaped the side against the last team they played. Against the African countries, they should have started looking at a few options, bringing in maybe a Shamar Joseph and maybe a McCoy. Start to look at what you may need in Trinidad. That didn't happen. No Hope has had any cricket at all. You played chase, he didn't bowl a ball, he didn't bat a ball. You're getting some kind of funny messages there. But having played the same 11, I don't see them changing. I do not see them changing.
All right, Red, I know you might have to go, but all the best. Red?
Well, before I go, I would like to hear our colleagues take.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I was absolutely thinking about Shea Hope should have been in the team, but the way the team are performing in the opening batsman, it looks like a pretty all-round good team. If you look at it, you didn't even see what's his name, Ralston Chase had a bat in the last game, and it shows a depth in the West Indies squad and the team. And if all these guys are firing at the right time, and this team for me is the team of the tournament. And if they continue and they perform up to the par that we know that they can, this is the team to win the tournament. They have nothing short. We have back in the last 2 World Cup, we had a clinical player such as Marlon Samuel that can anchor the innings. In this tournament, we have such as Ralston Chase, who is really clinical in terms of his batting style and the way that he constructs his innings. Also, Shea Hope is another beautiful attribute to have at the top of the innings, very explosive. But we've seen a good performance from Chancellor Charles. It's kind of inconsistent, but we need a little bit more consistent at the top of the innings, and it's just a lot going on with West Indies cricket at the minute in terms of the batting up front and the selection. I do believe that Shea Hope should have been in the team. but the team is performing well at the minute. So it's just up to the selectors and the team.
Well,
Yeah,
it's going to be a crucial game for both sides. New Zealand cannot lose it. The West Indies needs to win it, but you know, they're probably under less pressure than New Zealand.
New Zealand, and I think
Take care.
not to interrupt what Perriera was saying there, but I think if West Indies is going to win the tournament, this is the game that they have to show that this is the signature. We're going to stamp our signature as the West Indies in the tournament this year, and it is what it is. They have to show that they want to win the tournament. They have players such as Rutherford. They have players as Russell, explosive. We haven't seen the explosive West Indies team as yet, and if they get going against New Zealand, I think the confident level, this is pretty much the real test for West Indies against New Zealand, against a top.
And don't forget, my brother, we have to come to St. Lucia and play Afghanistan here. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's too
and that will be an interesting encounter.
Yep.
I see. Sorry, Satish. I see you joined us.
Yes. How are you doing?
welcome.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good to have you here.
My pleasure. It's always nice to chat about cricket at any point of the day.
All right. I think you came in just after we had a brilliant discussion on Pakistan and the way they played today, and also we had a discussion on the US India game to come tomorrow. I think Reds have to go, but let's just back up a little bit having you here. What was your take on the Pakistan game today and the way they played?
Honestly, I think Pakistan should have been a little more brave and should have finished the game earlier, because that would have really helped them in gaining that net run rate and would have been, making their case a little more easier when they play Ireland later on, because, the qualification chances of Pakistan are currently very slim after the defeats to United States and India. So I really thought, if they had finished the game a little bit earlier by being a little brave and positive in batting, it would have really helped their cause.
Yeah, and maybe I should have asked you to tell the viewers maybe a bit about your background in terms of ethnicity.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Your background, maybe Pakistani, Indian, what? Could they
What's your nationality in terms of
Oh, my nationality. I'm from India.
All right, you're
So
from India.
I was extremely happy with the result. Initially the game sent jitters down everyone's spines because it was a pretty low score, and we thought it might be an easy win for Pakistan. But the way the Indian bowlers put up a show and the way they snatched the game away from the Pakistani batsmen, I mean, it was incredible. It was one of the most thrilling games ever. And, cricket proved that you don't need to have high-scoring games to actually make games thrilling. Even low-scoring thrillers are actually fun to watch. So that's what this game proved again.
Yeah, I bet you were over the moon on Sunday. And
yes.
I wonder if you will be over the moon again tomorrow when you guys play the US. The US came into the tournament with some confidence, and even had more shot of confidence after beating let me say Pakistan, because they won their first game, but that win against Pakistan really gave them a boost of confidence. They'll be coming in with a lot of confidence. So despite all the quality in the Indian setup, I guess you wouldn't want to take them for granted.
Yes, definitely India shouldn't take this United States team, for granted. They're not playing like a regular associate nation. Beating Pakistan is incredible.
a big deal? It
It's
is.
not at all an easy team. Pakistan with that strong bowling lineup, they never lost a chance in the game even for few overs. They were always in the game and they played incredibly well. So India have to be really careful when they play this United States team. But honestly, the other cricket fan in me would definitely root for this United States team because I've played a lot of cricket here in the United States, and this is going to change the dynamics of the USA cricket. And honestly, they've played so well in the tournament, so I really want United States to actually win against India for the first time and probably qualify for the Super 8s, because it is going to help the cricket in the United States a lot.
Absolutely. And what state do you play cricket in here in America? May I ask?
So yes, we play around Pittsburgh, and we've also been part of several major tournaments across the United States, whether it's college cricket level or in some of the big tournaments that are played during long weekends. But predominantly I play in the Pittsburgh Cricket Association,
Wonderful, wonderful.
West Virginia University cricket team. So
Beautiful.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll revoke your Indian passport if if India should lose to the US after you came on air and said you would want to see them lose to the US.
yeah.
He has a very interesting point in terms of cricket here in America. If US should get to the Super 8, it's going to be a big boost for the fundamental of cricket and the development of cricket here in America. And we want to see that as people that live here in America and playing in all the leagues here in America. It would be a big boost and a big confidence for cricketers here in America.
Yeah,
And the youngsters as well, the grassroots cricketers, it would be so important for them to see that there is a future for cricket here in America. If the US get there, they would want to put more interest in the game, and parents as well would want to push their kids to get more grassroots training in terms of cricket here in America.
Exactly. And the other thing is, more local sponsors within United States would come up and support this United States team, because it has been making waves across the world now. And the other thing is, there's a lot of land out here in the United States, and there are several parks that can be converted into cricket grounds, and more budding cricketers can get into the sport, so that when the Olympics come here into LA in 2028, USA should have a formidable team that can compete. So that is how it's really fun to see these associate teams grow up. Afghanistan, for example, started as an associate nation, but look at them. They're now one of the strongest teams in the world. So I definitely want teams like United States, Namibia, Scotland, all these small teams to become formidable teams and compete with the other nations as well, because cricket is going to get more interesting.
Yeah, and just like we see in football, because there's so much quality teams, countries, then the sport grows. So I think we have seen that with T20 cricket, where all of these, as you said, Afghanistan is a prime example of the way they've grown in cricket. And I think, as you said, I think the US is on a path to do pretty much the same thing like Afghanistan, as long as they can get the behind the scenes thing right, the grassroots stuff right. And I think that's what we were onto. And Lenny just alluded to it, that if they can feed off the energy of the World Cup, then we'll see a lot more pumped into cricket, and cricket will grow in the region.
Because to be honest, in America, there's not a lot of people that really follow cricket. There's a big population that follow cricket in terms of the Indian population, the subcontinent population, the Caribbean population. It's big here in America, but there's not lots of Americans family that are really in tune to cricket. You mentioned the word cricket, they say, oh, it's a very interesting sport, but we don't really know much about it. I'm in hospitality, and I've sit at the bars that I work and I teach people about cricket, and they're like very intriguing about the sport. So if this can get, a bigger pump in terms of financial support and all that, who knows? It's the second most watched sport in the world at the minute. Who knows, after this World Cup, it might be the number one watched sport in the world.
Right. And the most interesting point here is that the first international cricket match between any nation was played between the United States and Canada. So they actually should be in the forefront of this. But, time has its own way of dealing with things. So it's never too late. I think United States is in a very good spot. They have a fantastic team. Team is playing solid, and I really want to see this US team succeed even more.
Yeah, let's go back to just wrap up the preview for the game. In terms of, do you see any changes possibly for the Indian team going into this game tomorrow, or any change in approach from you, Satish, and then we'll take Lenny in terms of any changes or approach for the US. Let's start with India.
I think they're going to bring in some spinners because heading into West Indies where the pitches are slow and obviously not like how the New York pitch would have behaved, I feel that they're going to bring in either Kuldeep Yadav, most likely, and or UC Chahal, but the preference would be for UC Chahal for Kuldeep Yadav. So I think probably they would drop Dubey and bring in Kuldeep Yadav. So that's what I'm thinking, because getting into West Indies, obviously you'll need the spinners to be in form and striking from the word go. So
yeah, for me, I know they've got quite a few players in the reserve, but I would love to see Jagannath Singh getting an opportunity to play in the Caribbean for the US team. Also, Janai Drydale, who plays his cricket out of New York, I'd love to see him with his variation of quick pace and express pace in the team as well. But it's up to the selector. I don't really see them doing a lot of changes to the 11. Honestly, there's no need for that. They have a good partnership, good momentum going, so there's no need to bring in a fresher blood in the team. They're not doing well, I can totally understand that, but the way they're playing at the minute, it would be a shift in dynamic in terms of making changes in the team at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to quote Chennai Super Kings, because if you look at the way they strategize with an IPL, they start off with the team and maintain the same 11 throughout the tournament, and consistency is the key, so that you really don't need changes in the team unless things are really off. But I think United States team has really performed well as a unit, so I don't think they really need any changes at this point. And they got a big win out of Pakistan, and they should just take this positive momentum into the game against India.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump back to try and close out. Well, we'll close out with looking at the road to the Super 8. But just look back at the West Indies, because Lenny, I think you got disconnected a bit when you were talking about the West Indies. But I don't know if you remember exactly what we were on in terms of the West Indies. But something I want to touch on is something we call calypso cricket, right? This bang bang cricket. When we look at the dot ball percentage, they faced and they played two of the not so strong teams in the group, let me put it that way. And they still had 50 odd dot balls in both games. I think in an ideal scenario, you'd want to be playing only 1/3 of the deliveries faced as dot deliveries, and that would mean cutting their dot ball percentage down to 40. I don't know, when you're playing these sort of nations, they should be doing that, and they've not been doing that. So how will they fare against a better opposition, better bowlers in New Zealand?
And that's where people like Shea Hope comes into the team, and he had such quality, he had such class and talent, and his fluidity in terms of batting. And he's one of the better ODI batsmen in terms of in the West Indies at the minute. He knows how to rotate the strike. He plays proper cricket shot. He's not just aggressive and bang bang. In terms of Jansen Charge, great player. In certain games we might need him, but I do think that Shea Hope needs to be at the top of the innings, batting with an aggressive batter. And I think in playing against a team like Namibia and getting 40, 50 at that ball, that's very unacceptable for a team such as the West Indies with such quality and class. And as you mentioned before, calypso cricket, it's good. When it comes out for the West Indies, it's very beautiful, very attractive cricket. But against a team such as New Zealand with the quality we know that they possess, they were in the final of the last year they were in the final of the not last year, the last World Cup they were in the final. And they have what it takes. It's just for them to get things going. And if they're going to go against a team like New Zealand and play that sort of calypso cricket, it won't go far for them. With the bowling attack such as Holt and all them other guys that can come up and turn up the party at any given moment, West Indies, they need to come good. They need to rotate that strike in terms of having Shea Hope at the top of the innings. And we mentioned that before, and that's what I think that they need to do.
Yeah, I think you picked up the right player's name, because it's a treat to always watch West Indies play T20 cricket, with the hard hitters. But definitely there would be a day when there's a collapse, and you need a guy who could have this ODI mindset. And Shai Hope is the perfect candidate who could, move the West Indies out of these troubled waters. And definitely he's a great addition, and I feel that he's going to contribute pretty well on some of those tricky situations.
Absolutely, not to interrupt you, but if you look at the game with Ralston Chase, the way he constructed himself, and it's the same sort of ideas and same sort of batter's ability we're talking about, or he constructed his innings against the team they played the first match, Papua New Guinea, or he constructed himself, and he showed that he's able to bat such as a Marlon Samuel, and he brought it home for the West Indies. And who to tell if he wasn't there, it would have been struggling. Absolutely thought they would have been struggling. So they need those touch players in the team. It's not, they have the likes of Andre Russell, the Rabman Powell, the Rutherford. They've got Nicholas Pooran. Those are very explosive players. You need 2 or 3 touch players in the team to guide your team when you're in a bit of spatter bother.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you if Shai Hope should come in for Rutherford, but I think you are insinuating that he should come in for Johnson Charles. I remember I was listening to the game, the last game, and I said to my I have a friend from college that called me, knows that I dearly love cricket. And he called me and said to me, Charles out there batting, and he's holding the game and he's playing well. And I said to him that, look, Charles is not the most technical. He will get the runs for you if he comes on, but he's not the most technical. I said to him that, look, if Charles is out there right now facing 40 deliveries, if he's on 40, because he said Charles is on 40, I said, well, I bet he plays 40 deliveries to make those 40, given the context of the game. And maybe he would have hit about 6 boundaries in the innings. And when I went and checked my phone, because I wasn't watching it at the time, I realized that that's exactly what happened. He hit about 6 or so boundaries. So about like 20 odd of the balls, 20 odd of the runs came from boundary, but yet he still faced 40 odd deliveries. So you're wondering, oh my God, why is this guy batting like this? When you have the power play, not maximizing it, it's best you say, look, if we were going to bring Narayan in the team, that's what we would have said to him to go and do. Hit. Why not say to Johnson Charles, if you're in the team, go out there, hit the ball. If you get out, we won't crucify you, because that is your role.
Your job. Yep.
That's your role. And we have not been getting that from him. And when it gets past the power play, he will struggle because he's not the most technical. And I think that is where having a Shai Hope and a Ralston Chase at like a 4, and as you said, opening with a Shai Hope, you get a little bit more of that, because Hope can maximize the power play. I've seen him bat aggressively in recent time. With King, with a very good stroke player, you know what you're getting from Nicholas Pooran. If he gets off, he'll give you some runs. If he gets out, or another opener gets out, and Chase comes in, between 7 to 15 overs or 7 to 14 overs, you know what you get from Chase if he stays out there and set that platform for the team to launch to do well. I think that's the blueprint we need, with lowering the dot ball percentage down to 1/3.
Absolutely, just similar class to Marlon Samuel, Ralston Chase, and we have seen Marlon Samuel in the last T20 World Cup, the way he constructed his innings and delivered for the West Indies. And I think Ralston Chase is playing a very similar role in this West Indies team. And
yeah, and no, we're looking to close off looking at the groups. So let's just look at that in terms of what the points table will look like. And let's start with Group A. Satish, I think that when we look at, I guess India looks very good, but they wouldn't want to take anything for granted, and the teams behind them want to get into that Super 8. We spoke about the US, but I guess we can say we still have 2 games to go from Ireland, and their quality team. They could upset anybody. They could beat any team in this group if they get it right. So it can become a little bit dicey if India fail to win against the US tomorrow.
Yeah, it can get a little dicey, but honestly, with the way the table is positioned and the net run rate scenario, I think even if India loses to the United States, it has a very good chance to still qualify because Pakistan couldn't actually capitalize on the game today. So even though they lose upon it, I don't think the net run rate of India would take so much hit that it would fall into troubled waters. So I think India and United States are the two teams going to the Super 8s from Group A.
I have to agree with you on that decision. Absolutely have to agree. Unless Ireland pull a lot of upset and play a different level of cricket, they might be able to sneak in. But I'm looking at the India USA to pull through to the Super 8 from this Group A.
And also, United States has played Ireland in the past, and they have done pretty well in Florida actually. So I'm really not that concerned about the USA Ireland game as well. So hence, my top two teams are India and United States.
Yeah, and
I have to agree.
I know you have that England accent, Lenny. I don't know how much how much more connected you are with England other than the accent, because they are in a spot of bother with that no result and then losing to Australia. They could find themselves in hot water if things don't go their way. Could be looking at the defending champions going out in the group stages.
Well, very connected to England. I lived in England for 9 years up in Yorkshire, Bradford, Yorkshire. But yeah, they're not looking as a complete unit at the minute. Very disappointed performance against Australia. But we know that England has a great team and a great quality in the team that they can bounce back and pull through this group as well. So it's just for them to regroup themselves and show the brand of cricket, defending champion. They want to come out and show that they deserve to be here and display good cricket and come back and pull through.
I think similar to what we said about New Zealand, and I think maybe New Zealand to a greater extent, because they came into the tournament rusty, and you could see that because a lot of their players in the IPL weren't getting games and so on. But England came into the tournament pulling their players, their marquee players from the IPL. But even so, they went and played in conditions that are not similar to the West Indies and to the West Indies, because they're playing in the West Indies. And also they had some rained out games. So that first game with the no result, you could see that they weren't at their sharpest against Australia. And even though they have real quality players, you expect them to get out of the group on paper when you look at it. But with Scotland having 5 points, I mean, it can get tricky for them if one thing should go against them.
Yeah, and as it looks at the minute, you see the weather forecast down in Fort Lauderdale tomorrow between West Indies and New Zealand. It doesn't look good. My point of view, I don't think the game will pull through, but also those things can come into factors. Rain, net run rate. So it could be disastrous for England, but I think they have what it takes to pull through. But let's just watch and see. Close group to call. We just got to wait for the end of that group to see what will happen.
Yeah, because
sorry to interrupt. I have to drop off because I'm having some issues here as I'm on the drive. So due to the network issues, I have to kind of drop off this call. But it was nice, kind of chatting with you, and looking forward to doing more.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And looking to talk to you again, because I really want to ask you about Sri Lanka. Who has not looked good so far in the tournament. So I hope we get a chance to chat very soon, so we can look at Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and what they're doing. But also, we want to talk about the brilliance of Afghanistan when we get another chance to talk. So I hope we get to talk again very soon.
Yeah, definitely. Have a nice one. Thank you.
All right, Satish. We'll talk a little bit more about those subcontinent teams a bit more with Satish when we have him again. But just to close out, looking at the group, we already spoke about Afghanistan, the group with West Indies. But let's just look at that last group. I wanted to ask Satish about that but he had to go. South Africa looking good, not efficient in all their games, but they've been getting their results, which I think is good, because if they hit their straps, then they should be a better team. But that group, tell me about that group.
Yeah, not very efficient, but they look one of the best team in the tournament as well, such as West Indies, Australia. They look one of the team that performing up to standard at the minute, South Africa. And I think they will be able to pull through this group quite easily.
Yeah, they look good for the group, and I think when they get out of those conditions where they struggle to bat, because I think they're a strong batting unit, and I think when they get into conditions where they should be able to bat a little bit more freely, I think they'll give teams a lot of trouble. Because when you look at that bowling attack, I don't even know what they're going to do. Who they'll drop one of their fast bowlers to bring Shamsi in when they get into the Caribbean. Because when you look at where Otnil Bartman is bowling, I mean, if you look based on current form, Rabada looks the one more likely to go, if you're just picking on form, to bring Shamsi in when you get to the Caribbean. And can you imagine that? You're talking about Kagisa Rabada here.
Rabada, world class bowler as we have seen over the last decades or so. He's been delivering the goods for South Africa, but this is a different format of cricket, T20 cricket, and he just haven't gotten up to expectation over the last couple of games. And it's just T20 cricket. It doesn't matter the name, the reputation. If you're not delivering the goods, we got to give someone else an opportunity to showcase what they have and what they can bring to the format, because this is the stage that bring talent and develop talent. T20 cricket, we have seen so many youngsters come through. They've gotten a game or two, and they show that they're capable, and they're the big thing right now in T20 cricket.
Yeah, because I think they must bring Shamsi in the Caribbean. But let's just look at another team that I think has been really, really underwhelming. And I am a little bit disappointed because I had them as a possible dark horse, because I think they have one of the best T20 players in the world captaining this team. I'm talking about Hasaranga. Sri Lanka is not looking good. And they have a good team on paper. I don't think they have a settled 11, but they have a really good unit.
Yeah, if you had asked me before the start of the T20 World Cup about Sri Lanka, my opinion would have been absolutely no. I don't see them pulling through. Over the last 10 years or so, we haven't seen Sri Lanka and Pakistan being one of the most consistent teams. They're very inconsistent, and I wouldn't have expected them to pull through the group, to be honest with you, if you asked me that question at the start of the tournament. They're not a very consistent team, and it is shown throughout the years.
Yeah, I think they just need to get a bit of, as you said, consistency. I think for the future they'll be good, because I hope they hold on to Hasaranga and move away from the old guard for the next maybe T20 World Cup cycle. Because you look at, they have so much quality, but I think they are beyond their best now. The likes of Angela Matthews, Tanaka, Mendes. Kushal Mendes, I think there is
a lot of chemistry. A lot of chemistry is missing from the team. I don't know what it is. I can't call what it is at the minute, but it's the last couple of 4, 5, 6 years. It just hasn't been the same for Sri Lanka and Pakistan. It's just super inconsistent, and I don't see them pulling through to the Super 8.
Yeah, this is a team that have maybe 6 players in the team that would have captained the team. So it's been a musical chairs for captaincy. And I think that is why you don't have that sort of chemistry, because you have a lot of alpha males sort of figure in a dressing room. It can be a little bit tricky. So I think we saw that with the
Pakistan game.
We saw that with Pakistan. We saw that in the IPL with Mumbai Indians and so on. So I think that is key. I think you're right. They don't have that sort of chemistry. And I hope that post this World Cup, they'll say, all right, guys, we are looking for the next World Cup cycle. The Angela Matthews, the Shanaka, and so on. They'll say, all right, you can go. Let us focus on what we're doing here with these young players, because the likes of Asalanka and Hasaranga and all of those guys, they have some really, really good talent coming through. And if they get things right, they should be good. So I hope they can look forward.
Well, let's hope and see. Let's keep fingers crossed for Sri Lanka. Very, very good nation, very good players over the years, and let's hope nothing for the best for them, but the best.
Yeah, and Bangladesh, Netherlands are on the table. But something I also want to ask you about. I don't know how much you know about it, and I've not seen any more news on it because I've been trying to follow it quite closely. But when we look at I think Nepal, bit of a disadvantage. Because not having Sandeep Lamchani in the team, but it could they're talks about him possibly coming in for the Caribbean leg of the tournament. I think it would be good for them, for their confidence, to have him in the setup, and also to have a crack at a team that maybe they could try and push a team a little bit better, so they'll feel better about themselves, or possibly even getting a win in the group. So I'm hoping that it is possible. What's your take on that? Possibly ICC allowing it to get him into the team.
To be honest, I haven't been following much of that story or much of the Nepal team. I haven't been following it a lot, so I can't really say much on it at the minute.
Yeah, but it would be good, I presume, to try and get one of your best players into the lineup. So I hope that that's possible for Nepal. I haven't seen anything on it today, so I hope that it is possible and they'll get him into the lineup and they will look better. It's a juicy look for the games tomorrow with West Indies playing New Zealand. I think we're all looking for that, and India playing against the US. So 2 good games for us to watch tomorrow. I guess our viewers will be tuned in.
Absolutely, 2 very interesting games, and we're just sitting back and waiting for the result and see, what both team has to offer.
Yeah. Viewers, if you have not yet subscribed, let me just say, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of content coming your way. Stay tuned. So at the wicket, at BIFF Cricket, and we will see you next time. Thanks again, Lenny.
Absolutely, thank you. It's always a pleasure being in here, man. You have a beautiful evening.
All right.